The film opens in a desolate, cold forest where a severely wounded man is desperately fleeing. A mysterious figure relentlessly pursues him, giving him no chance of escape. The chase culminates in a brutal execution in the woods before the cold-blooded killer drags the body away. Immediately following this bloody scene, the film shifts to a completely contrasting atmosphere. A family of four is enjoying a camping trip in their car. The father, Keith, prepares a barbecue and happily offers the best steak to his son, Jeffrey. Jeff eagerly accepts it, while his sister Amy, clearly annoyed, refuses to eat and decides to go for a walk instead. Their mother, Kathleen, tries to defend her daughter, while Keith remains displeased. As the couple talks, Jeff pulls out some chocolate bars, eating them while counting the remaining ones. Meanwhile, Amy moves to a safe distance, retrieves the illegal substances she had secretly hidden, and consumes them. The peaceful atmosphere of the family was quickly shattered when two local men in an old truck appeared, introducing themselves as Billy and Vern. These two suspicious-looking strangers said they were looking for a cousin named Melchior who had gone missing the previous night. Keith, a mere passerby, insisted he didn't know who he was. However, Vern continued the conversation, asking about their family and where they lived. Keith maintained his composure, trying to appear polite and courteous. To ease the tension, Jeff offered some chocolates as a friendly gesture. Vern nibbled on them with relish. Just as Amy turned around, the two men looked at her strangely, creating a tense atmosphere. They asked Amy if she had seen anyone named Melchior, but Keith, sensing something amiss, told his daughter to get back into the car. He quickly apologized to them, explaining that the family had an urgent matter to attend to. Finally, Billy and Vern got into their truck and drove away in silence, leaving everyone feeling uneasy. After packing up their belongings, the family continued their journey home. However, they couldn't escape trouble when they soon encountered the two men again. Billy and Vern's truck seemed to have broken down on the way, but Kathleen quickly noticed something suspicious when she saw Vern carrying a shotgun. The two men explained that the only tow truck in the area was closed that day and they had no choice but to call their family for a ride. They asked for a ride since Keith's family was passing through their town anyway. Seeing his wife's worry, Keith was about to refuse, but Vern offered another solution. Just give Billy a ride while he stayed behind. Faced with a pleading and pressured look, Keith reluctantly agreed. Despite Kathleen's growing unease, the family continued their journey. Now with Billy on board, he seemed open and talkative, even playing a word-guessing game with young Jeff. But no matter how well Billy tried to be sociable, Kathleen couldn't hide her wariness. Billy began talking about where he lived, a small farm with his uncle and cousins, whom he always claimed were very kind. The atmosphere in the car suddenly changed when Billy inadvertently picked up Jeff's notebook for the game. His eyes widened in panic when he realized it was the notebook of his missing cousin, Melchior. Everything happened so fast. Jeffrey suddenly attacked Billy. The terrifying thing was that no one in the family showed any panic or surprise. They just silently watched him collapse, gasping for breath, then fell completely silent. The horrifying truth was revealed. Keith's family were the ones who had attacked Melchior the night before. Elsewhere, Billy's cousin had just finished her training session, setting her weapon aside, seemingly unaware of the tragedy that was about to unfold. Returning to Keith's family, they calmly disposed of Billy's body, dismembering it and storing the parts in the freezer. Kathleen gently gave her daughter Amy a small object that looked like a human eye, Amy's favorite treat, and from this, we also learn what the family ate during their picnic. Immediately after dealing with Billy's phone, Keith urged everyone to hurry because they didn't want to keep the homeowner waiting too long. The scene shifts to a secluded house where an elderly man, referred to as Pa, is having dinner with his two granddaughters, Julie and Savannah. The meal is peaceful until a knock on the door. All three are surprised to see a strange family appear on the porch, Kathleen and her two children, Jeff and Amy. Keith's family introduces themselves as people they met Billy on the road. They say that when their camper broke down, Billy and Vern were looking for their cousin, Melchior. They gave directions and suggested that Kathleen's family stop by their house to rest. Hearing this plausible explanation, Pa and the two granddaughters invited them in with their usual hospitality. Keith quickly assesses the situation by asking to borrow a phone and is relieved to learn that Billy is the only one in the house with a cell phone. Dinner continued in a friendly atmosphere until Savannah blurted out a question that brought everyone to a standstill. If he met Billy on the way, why didn't he drive everyone back here? Kathleen immediately tried to cover up the truth, explaining that when they met Billy, he was walking because Billy and Vern had separated to look for Melchior. Keith added that his family was already nearby at the time. The answer sounded plausible, but suspicious glances began to appear. Keith and the other members, worried, prepared to act quickly, each silently drawing their weapons. However, they stopped when the house suddenly shook. A large man with a sledgehammer, named Big Mac, entered, another member of the family and Julie's boyfriend. The appearance of the giant made Keith's family quickly restrain their murderous instincts. And so, the fateful dinner continued. Meanwhile, Vern stood patiently by the roadside, calling Billy repeatedly but without success. A car pulled up, and Vern breathed a sigh of relief, thinking Billy had returned. However, the person who got out was the local deputy sheriff, with whom Vern had previously clashed over a wrongful arrest. After apologizing, the sheriff offered Vern a ride because it was cold. But Vern flatly refused. He simply said that a kind family from Los Angeles had given Billy a ride and that he was probably on his way home. Seeing this, the sheriff had no choice but to leave. At this point, we also learned that the chocolates Jeff had given Vern and Billy were problematic. Vern was suffering from severe stomach pains and vomiting continuously. Inside Pa's house, Jeff also brought his candy and offered it to everyone. Pa refused, saying that no one in the house ate sweets to keep their teeth strong. However, Julie mischievously took 2 bars and gave one to Big Mac. At the same time, Amy excused herself to go to the bathroom. It was to hide her illegal substances. She realized Savannah was standing right outside, causing Amy to panic. In her haste, she unknowingly dropped Billy's eye. The atmosphere between the two girls gradually became more intimate. Savannah seemed amiable, and Amy, despite always concealing her true nature, felt comfortable talking to her. But that moment soon ended when Julie called them back to the living room. Pa invited everyone to watch the evening entertainment where Savannah showcased her piano skills, impressing everyone. Afterwards, Pa arranged sleeping arrangements for the guests. Keith and Kathleen were given a private room, while Jeff was assigned to Billy's room. Since all the rooms were already occupied, Julie suggested that Savannah share a room with Amy, emphasizing that this was convenient since Savannah wasn't particularly interested in men. Coincidentally, Amy also shared the same secret, but she chose to remain silent. That night, Savannah came to help Pa get ready for bed. Before leaving, she confided her worries about the guests, who were so incredibly perfect and kind that it was hard to believe. Pa laughed, jokingly asking if she thought they would kill each of them and burn down the house. Savannah only managed a forced smile, but her eyes still held a hint of suspicion. In the Kathleen couple's room, neither could sleep. She expressed her unease, unwilling to harm innocent families. Kathleen had her own principles. They only punished the wicked, the sinful, or those useless to society. She had never killed an innocent person. Keith, on the other hand, appeared cold and detached. He reiterated their mission, to eliminate the lowly, those without dreams or purpose in life. He claimed they were freeing these people from suffering, and this long journey was just part of a process of purifying humanity. Kathleen remained silent, but suspicion arose in her heart. She sensed that this family, the people they were sheltering with, were not the kind of fallen souls Keith described. Savannah had just been accepted into a community college. They were clearly good people. Finally, Keith got up and left the room to find Jeff. He wanted to reiterate the plan to the boy before his son acted on his familiar cold-blooded instincts. Keith carefully divided the plan among the family members, clearly identifying who would be whose target. He specifically instructed Jeff not to touch the Big Mac, as Keith wanted to handle the giant himself. Meanwhile, out on the street, Vern, unable to contact Billy, began to believe something terrible had happened. He decided to walk through the night to find his cousin. Inside the Savannah house, she unexpectedly saw Amy talking on the phone with her lover, Blair. This surprised her because Amy had previously said her family didn't have a phone. Amy quickly tried to cover it up, saying the battery was low, so she had kept the phone on, and they both prepared to go to bed. Neither of them knew that in the bathroom, Julie was vomiting violently due to the poison in the chocolate bar Jeff had offered her earlier. Big Mac also suffered the same fate and had to run outside to vomit. Meanwhile, Amy confessed that her mother knew and accepted her sexual orientation, but hadn't dared to tell her strict father. While the two girls were talking downstairs, Ami's family began to act. Keith quietly went up the stairs towards Pa's room. Jeff, disobeying orders, silently appeared behind Big Mac like a ghost. Before the giant could react, Jeff swiftly attacked, slashing Big Mac's body with multiple deep cuts. The fight quickly escalated. Jeff initially held the advantage, but Big Mac counterattacked, knocking him to the floor. He raised his hand to finish him off, but suddenly a sharp pain in his stomach intensified. Taking advantage of the situation, Jeff calmly stepped forward and choked Big Mac, causing him to suffocate to death. From the upstairs window, Keith witnessed the entire scene. astonished by his son's reckless actions. While Pa, just waking up, didn't hesitate to split the old man's head in two, ending his life in an instant. After calling Jeff back, Keith scolded him for going against the plan, while Kathleen was so worried she tried to intervene. However, when alone, Keith secretly praised his son and rewarded Jeff with Big Mac's tongue. Back in Savannah's room, the two girls gradually became more intimate, but Amy never forgot her instincts or her true plan. She pulled out a knife hidden on her person, but at that moment Savannah sat up, causing Amy to fall off the bed and the knife to pierce her buttocks. Savannah rushed to help, panicked. Seeing the knife, Amy explained that she often kept knives for self-defense. Savannah tried to stop the bleeding. This made Amy's mind waver, preventing her from harming Savannah. Then Savannah told Amy to wait a moment and left to get more medical supplies. While she was in the shed, she suddenly heard strange noises outside. Curious, Savannah went out onto the porch and was stunned to see Keith's family's camper, which they said had broken down miles away, now parked near the house. Keith and Kathleen also got out of the camper. Unaware of Savannah's presence, she waited for them to leave before going inside to investigate. Finally, the truth was revealed when Savannah found many human body parts inside the camper. At the same time, Julie, in the restroom, accidentally discovered the eye that Amy had dropped earlier. She froze, her hands trembling as she realized that the horrifying thing wasn't fake. Overwhelmed with panic, Julie immediately ran back to Pa's room to report the news, but only managed to see a horrifying scene. He was dead, his head split in two. Before she could react, Keith emerged from the shadows, grabbed her, and held her down so Kathleen could finish her task. Jeff once again left the room without his parents' permission. But at this point, that was no longer important. The whole family gathered around Julie, who lay unconscious after Keith repeatedly slammed her head against the table. Kathleen, encouraged by her husband, decided to act. At that moment, an arrow pierced Kathleen's neck, causing her to collapse instantly. Keith immediately pulled everyone away from the window. Hiding in the shadows, Amy, hearing the commotion, rushed over and witnessed her mother's death. She screamed in anger, turning to reproach her father, saying that those people weren't vagrants or scum as he had claimed. They were human beings with families and lives. But Keith coldly replied that they meant nothing. In his eyes, human lives were merely tools for his own twisted philosophies. Losing his wife made Keith even more cruel. He tied Julie up and beat her mercilessly to lure Savannah out. Knowing that her sister wouldn't stand by and watch her being tortured, he deliberately prolonged the ordeal like a hunting game. Julie's face was slashed and her fingers broken during the ordeal. Savannah, of course, didn't abandon her sister. She quietly slipped back into the bedroom. Savannah saw Amy's phone. Seizing the opportunity, she quickly called the police for help. But the signal was weak, and before she could finish speaking, Jeff heard her voice and slowly approached. Savannah also sensed the danger and quickly hid behind the door, waiting for an opportunity. Elsewhere, the deputy police chief received the call and informed his superiors that the number that had called had a Los Angeles area code. Immediately, he remembered Vern's words. A family from Los Angeles gave Billy a ride. Sensing something was wrong, the police officer drove to Billy's house to investigate. Savannah was holding Jeff hostage, using him as leverage in a deal with Keith, demanding that he release her sister. Keith, however, merely gave a cold smile and threatened that if Jeff was killed, Julie would suffer the same fate. Amy, standing nearby, pleaded with Savannah to release Jeff, knowing her father would actually do it and not caring about his son. Savannah hesitated, worried about her sister, before finally letting go. At that moment, Amy turned against her father, helping him subdue the two sisters. The scene that followed was a disgusting feast. Keith calmly cooked a special dish, placing Big Mac's tongue on the table in front of Julie and Savannah, then mockingly asking if they recognized the familiar taste. To make it clear, he brought out a severed arm, still stained with blood, Big Mac's arm. Both girls were stunned with horror. They would rather die than touch this disgusting dish. But their resistance only enraged Keith further. He told Jeff to go get gasoline and pour it around the house, preparing to burn it down completely. Keith gradually lost control. He coldly chopped off Julie's thumb and ate it raw in front of everyone as if he were enjoying a victory. Not stopping there, he turned to Savannah, intending to cut off her skillful hands so she could never play the piano or shoot a bow again. But just before he finished, Savannah uttered a sentence that made him freeze. She revealed that Amy had just been intimate with her. The statement left Keith speechless for a few seconds. Then his face changed color. Savannah seized the opportunity to expose Amy's secret, that she was hiding her true gender and had fallen into addiction. Keith couldn't believe what he heard. The atmosphere between father and daughter suddenly became tense. Amy reacted violently, while Keith screamed in Fennu, considering it a disgrace. While they were confronting each other, Savannah secretly tried to untie herself. Taking advantage of the chaos, she escaped just in time, grabbed a fork from the table, and stabbed it straight into Keith's eye. He roared in pain, but instead of recoiling, he pulled out his eye and devoured it like a wild animal. Just then, Vern returned home. Upon seeing the chaotic scene, he opened fire on Keith. Amy was knocked unconscious by Savannah, but Jeff was still there. The battle for survival began. Savannah confronted Jeff head-on, dragging him into the kitchen. A fierce struggle ensued, and she gained the upper hand. Savannah pulled Jeff's arm onto the still-hot gas stove and threw a pot of boiling water in his face. Jeff screamed and collapsed as Savannah strangled him, ending the life of the second monster. Meanwhile, Vern wrestled with Keith, who was injured in the shoulder. It seemed Vern had finished him off when Keith grabbed a nearby knife and stabbed him in the head. Keith gasped for breath, a triumphant smile on his face. But before he could savor the moment, Julie, now freed from her restraints, held an axe. Finally, Keith's head was split in two. Julie and Savannah escaped their nightmare. They breathed a sigh of relief, comforting each other. But the tragedy wasn't over. Amy suddenly sprang up, stabbing Julie in the back with a knife. Her older sister fell and died instantly. Savannah lost her temper. She lunged at Amy, wildly attacking her, slamming her head against the piano until blood splattered everywhere. As Amy nearly fainted, Savannah grabbed a sledgehammer and yelled at her to run, saying she would be the hunter now. The two chased each other to the door when a gunshot rang out, causing Savannah to collapse. The shooter was the deputy police officer. He had just arrived at the scene, mistakenly believing Keith's family were the victims and Savannah and Julie were the murderers. Believing he had just saved someone, he quickly called an ambulance and reported to the station that deranged locals had killed an innocent tourist family. The officer heard noises coming from Keith's family's camper van and went to investigate. Inside, Amy calmly prepared some illegal substances and tightened her grip on the knife. After killing the officer, Amy set fire to the house and then drove away in the family's car. The movie ends here. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.